Hey, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm taking you with me to solve the general reading mock test. This sample test was taken from the British Council website and it is an official IELTS test. I will show you the tips and strategies that I use to get 9 in my reading on IELTS, and you will also get to know why exactly I think that reading is the easiest module on IELTS. It actually doesn't require you to improvise, you just get to work with the information that is already given to you. Fortunately, I will also show you what to do to reduce your cost of preparation, especially if you're preparing alone at home, as I did. I'm quite concerned with nature and resources that we have on the planet, and that's why I try to never print anything, and therefore I use different software to edit my PDF files, especially when I was preparing for IELTS, because you know when you get to print all those IELTS preparation materials, books, mock tests, it is a lot of paper, which I don't like and I don't use. And therefore today I share with you the PDF element software that I use to work directly with the documents on my Mac without having to print them. This is a smart all-in-one PDF editor that allows you not only to modify text in your PDF files, but also images, footers, watermarks, backgrounds, links, headers, a lot of things. This is indeed a great tool for maximizing your document productivity, and today I'm partnering with them not only to bring you the information about PDF element, but also a huge discount if you want to buy it. You can get the link for the 50% off discount in the description box down below. But first, check out how I use it to solve the reading mock test with it. Okay guys, so on the right side of my screen you're going to see the PDF Element 6 Pro, which I am using to edit my PDF files directly, and on the left side you will see just this simple software that is pre-installed in my Mac that I will use to show the text. Now, in the PDF element, you can directly modify the text, like for instance you can write here hello, you can obviously delete everything, or you can change background, you can add watermarks, headers and footers, and Bates numbering. Adding text is obviously the most convenient for us today. You can also, of course, select the text and highlight it like that. You can highlight anything in your text, and this is super useful when you're working with the text and you need to highlight something for yourself so that you can go back to it. You can change colors of your highlight. As always, it's super simple. But now we are going to proceed with the edit feature, because I'm going to modify directly here our answers for the questions. So I strongly recommend you to download this sample task from the link in the description box down below this video, so that you can work on your own and you can take more time to read the text, because today we're not going to take much time to read the text. So I suppose that you have already read the text. Please pause the video and take some time to read the text so that we can work very fast together. Let's proceed with the first task, and the first section starts with the questions from 1 to 14 here on the left side of the screen, and the text is called Emergency Procedures. So the first question says, in an emergency, a teacher will either phone the office or, in cases of emergency, for example fire, find the nearest teacher who will, and now there goes our text, send a messenger at full speed to the office or inform the office via phone. We already have to call the office, so send a messenger is the correct answer here. We can write it directly, or send a messenger. Let us change the color of the question so that we can go back to it and see where we added our answers. The second question is, the signal for evacuation will normally be several what? So we see here in the text, warning of an emergency evacuation will be marked by a number of short bell rings. So the signal for evacuation will be normally several short bell rings. Dragging it to the right and coloring our answer in red. Great. The next question is, if possible, students should leave the building by the what? So in the text we see in the point number 5, Classes will vacate the premises using the nearest staircase. So vacate something means to leave something. To vacate the premises means to leave the premises, go away from them. So the students will leave the building, because premises is a synonym for a building, using the nearest staircase. That's what we can write directly here, by the nearest staircase. The next question is, they then walk quickly to the what? Now let's see in the text. Do not use the lift, so they cannot walk quickly to the lifts. Do not run, okay? In the point 6, it says, each class under the teacher's supervision will move in a brisk, orderly fashion to the paved quadrangle area adjacent to the car park. So they are moving to the paved quadrangle area. That's what we can write down here, to the paved quadrangle area. Great. For the next question, question number 5, who will join the teachers and students in the quad? We see in the point 7, it says all support staff will do the same. So all support staff is what we can write here. All support staff will join the teachers because they will do the same as teachers and students. Next is, each class teacher will count up his or her students and mark what? So when we are reading further, we see that in the point 9, students assemble in the quad with their teacher at the time of a vacation. The teacher will do a head count and check the roll. So to check the roll means to check if everyone is present and mark it. And therefore, here in the question, we can write down that teachers mark the roll, like that. In the next question, after the something, everyone may return to class. Here, a tip is to anticipate. You can always anticipate what you will see in the text, and it is easier for you then to work with the text. So anticipating, probably there will be a signal, or probably there will be a message for the class to go back. So what we see in the text, in the point 12, it says that all students, teaching staff and support personnel remain in the evacuation area until the all clear signal is given. So this is what we need. After the all clear signal, everyone may return to class. And lastly, in the question number 8, if there is an emergency at lunchtime, students gather in something and wait for their teacher. So where do they gather? We see in the text that in the last point it says, in the event of an emergency occurring during lunch or breaks, students are to assemble in their homeroom groups. That's what we need. Homeroom groups. Great. They gather in this quad in homeroom groups and wait for their teacher. So this is how we edited the whole text directly in the PDF element without having to print anything, without spoiling and damaging our nature. I love this way of working. That's what I usually do when working with my documents. Now, going to the next questions. Questions number 9 to 14. The new text is called Community Education. When you are reading this text, remember, you can highlight things that you need. Things that you need to pay attention to, like that, maybe in different colors, so that then when you go back working with your document, it is easier for you to understand what you decided to highlight. But we are going directly to the questions. So here in the questions 9 to 14, you will have to answer true, false, or not given. We will start from question number 9. Business basics is appropriate for beginners. So in the text, it is obvious that we are talking about short courses, and there are 5 short courses called Business Basics, Bookkeeping, New Enterprise Modules, Social Networking, and Communication. So the first question is to do with Business Basics, and let's read what it says. Here in the question it says, Business Basics is appropriate for beginners. Is it though? In the text, indeed, it says that this course is suitable for anyone requiring knowledge from the ground up. So from the ground up means from the 0 level up until the next level. So basic business is indeed appropriate for beginners. Let us write here true. Okay, the next question is, bookkeeping has no practical component. So is it true? It says in the text, for the bookkeeping, this course will provide students with a comprehensive understanding of bookkeeping and a great deal of hands-on experience. Hands-on experience is the experience that you can get your hands on, meaning that you can start working with it right away. So this is practical component, obviously. That's a synonym for practical component. Therefore, this question is obviously false, because the course indeed comprises the practical component. The next question says, bookkeeping is intended for advanced students only. Let's have a look at the paragraph again about bookkeeping in the left. It doesn't say anything about the level of students, right? It says we have information about cost, about code, about the timing, but no information about the level of students. And therefore, this information is simply not given. There is nothing being said about the level of students, so we cannot infer whether it is intended for advanced students or not. In the question number 12, it says the new enterprise module can help your business become more profitable. So on the left, in the course description, we see that the module has to do with understanding company structures, tax rates, deductions, employee obligations, profit and loss statements, GST, and budgeting for tax. So it gives us the information and allows us to understand the profit and loss statements. And the statements is a report. So we will understand profit and loss reports, financial reports, but we will not have any information as to how to make our business profitable. So the information about this is simply not given again. For the question number 13, it says that social networking focuses on a specific website to help your business succeed. On the left, we see that for social networking, it says this broad overview gives you the opportunity to analyze what web technologies are available and how they can benefit your organization. What web technologies? Web technologies comprise different things, not only one website. So a specific website is definitely not true because they're talking about web technologies, and therefore this question is false. Okay, I moved a little bit the whole layout so it's easier for you to read. And we're going to the last question. The communication class involves speaking in front of an audience. So for the communication class, it says, take the fear out of talking to large gatherings of people. Now we can already anticipate that the fear will be reduced. Gain the public speaking experience that will empower you with better communication skills and confidence. And indeed, it means that our communication skills of speaking in front of an audience will improve. So for question number 14, the answer is true. Great, we are moving very nicely and we are going to the next question, section number 2, questions 15 to 28. On the left, we are going to have the text. It fits one page perfectly, and on the right, we have the questions. Here they are. They are all editable. And this is a headings question. This is a question that many people find quite difficult. Let's deal with it. So first, let's read all of our headings. How can reflection problems be avoided? How long should I work without a break? What if I experience any problems? When is the best time to do filing course? What makes a good seat? What are the common health problems? What is the best kind of lighting to have? What is the roles of management and workers? Why does a VDU create eye fatigue? What should I place? Where should I place the documents? So those are our headings. When we have read the headings and we already understand that the text has to do with health, probably, you can anticipate. This is one of the best strategies, always to anticipate. You think beforehand that the text is about health problems or things that cause health problems. Now let's go to our text and read paragraph A. After you read it, I'm not going to read everything out loud. Please do it on your own so that we don't take too much time. You see that this paragraph is all about factors that cause common health problems. So they're talking about muscular fatigue. They are talking about discomfort or pain in the arms, necks, hands, or back. They're talking about eye strain. And those are common health problems. So when we're going back to our list of headings, the probable heading that I suppose is the right one is number 6. So let's write here number 6. That's the number that we are going to work with. And let's cross out this heading because we have already found it. It's section A. Going to the next section in the text, read it please. So in the section B, they talk about employers. They talk about their areas of responsibility, such as workplace design, office environment, placement of monitors, as well as the organization of the work and individual work habits for their employees. And therefore, when we are going through the list of headings, the most probable heading is number 8. So heading number 8 has to do with roles of management and workers, and exactly it says what the management should do, what the employers should do, and what workers should do as well. So we are striking it through. For the next section on the left, section C, read it please. Here the author talks about a chair and how the typist must be comfortably accommodated in a chair, what chairs should have, such as backrest and sitting ledge with a curved edge, preferably be cloth covered to avoid excessive perspiration. And when we're going back to the list of headings, we remember that there is actually a heading about a good seat, and this is a heading number 5. Quite easily we can infer that talking about a good seat is what we see in our section C. So we cross out this heading as well. We are done with it. Next, we are reading section D. And in the section D, in the first sentence, when the keyboard operator is working from a paper file or manuscript, so paper files and manuscripts are printed documents that the operator works with, it should be at the same distance from the eyes as the screen. So what they're doing, they're locating somewhere the documents. Then they say the most convenient position can be found by using some sort of a holder. So again, they continue talking about positioning a document, and the whole segment, the whole section is all about documents. And when we're going through the list of headings, we indeed have number 10, where should I place the documents, talking about the positioning of them. However, you have probably seen that in the paragraph we have VDU mentioned. And we also have in the list of headings here the VDU in heading number 9. And this is a trap, because you might think that seeing the VDU there in the heading number 9 will result in placing that heading to the paragraph D, but no, in the reality it's not that. If you read further, you see that it says individual arrangement will vary according to whether the operator spends more time looking at VDU or the paper. Whichever the eyes are focused on for the majority of time should be put directly in front of the operator. So it continues talking about the location of documents or the location of the VDU. But it has nothing to do with the question of why does a VDU create eye fatigue. It has nothing to do with eye fatigue. So heading number 9 is a trap here for section D. Please do not be fooled with it. Now we are going to the section E. Read it, please. So here it says that while keying, it is advisable to have frequent but short pauses. Frequent but short pauses are breaks of around 30 to 60 seconds to proofread. When doing this, relax your hands. So the section is going on about the guidelines of how to have a break, and this is our paragraph number 2. Please have a look at it. Paragraph number 2 says, how long should I work without a break? So from the text we can infer that you should have pauses of around 30 to 60 seconds after you have been keying for 60 minutes. So you should work without a break for 60 minutes. Next, section F, and here we have the video back again. So probably that might be heading 9. Let's see. But in the reality, when you read the section F, you see that they talk about positioning a video. And then why is this so important? If this is not possible, then glare from the window. Glare from the window, the reflection from the window, can be controlled by blinds, curtains, or movable screens. So they try to understand where to position the video properly so that the reflection or the glare from the windows is not disruptive for the work. And indeed, in our heading number 1, they are talking about the reflection problems and how they can be avoided. So again, we were not fooled by the heading number 9. We are talking about the heading number 1. And the last section is section G. Section G says something about unsatisfactory work practices, right? And what they might result in aches or pain. But if they occur, symptoms should be reported to your supervisor early on so that the cause of the trouble can be corrected and the operator should seek medical attention. So the paragraph talks about what to do when the employee experiences any problems, experiences any health issues such as aches or pain. And we have a paragraph 3, heading 3, that directly talks about this. So section G has heading number 3. Good job, guys. We have worked through all of the headings and we are going to the next text. Next, we have questions from 22 to 28, workplace dismissals. And for the 2 of the first questions, we will have to choose no more than 3 words from the text to answer. Let's read the question. If an employee receives something, this means that he will lose his job if his work does not get better. Let's go to our paragraph and look through it very quickly, just scan it and then read it more attentively so that you try to pay attention to the keywords from this and also anticipate what they can receive. They can probably receive a notice or a message or a document from their employer. Anticipate, try to think beforehand. And indeed, when you read the whole text, you see when the employee loses his job. He loses his job when the last step occurs, which is called final written warning, which will inform the employee that he will be dismissed unless there are improvements in performance. So this is what we need here. If an employee receives a final written warning, I just pasted it here from the text directly, a final written warning, this means that he will lose his job. For the next question, if an employee does not accept the reason for his dismissal, something can be arranged. What can be arranged? Again, when you read the text, you see that if employee denies the charges, if he is not agreeing with the charges, he is given the opportunity to appear at a formal appeal hearing. He is given the opportunity to appear at a formal appeal hearing. So he is given the opportunity to arrange a formal appeal hearing. And again, this is an answer for our question number 23. Questions 24 to 28 are matching descriptions with correct terms. And obviously it's quite clear that since we are done with this part before the dismissal, now we are going to work with the dismissals. So let's quickly read the text first, just scan it, and then go to the questions and read question number 24. An employee is asked to leave work straight away because he has done something really bad, and then you go through all of them as well to understand what you're going to work with. And when you read the text step by step, first you see that they deal with a fair dismissal. What is a fair dismissal? Fair dismissal is legally and contractually strong, and it means that all the necessary procedures have been correctly followed. Do we have it here? Indeed, we do have it here in number 28. The reasons for an employee dismissals are acceptable and followed in the employment contract. So statement A matches with number 28 because this is the fair dismissal. we can again cross out this part. Going further through the text, we see that the next dismissal that they're talking about is the summary dismissal. So what is known as the summary dismissal? If the employer can prove that the employee's behavior was illegal, dangerous, or severely wrong, the employee can be dismissed immediately, and this is called the summary dismissal. Do we have it here? Of course we do. This is 24. An employee is asked to leave work straight away because he has done something really bad. So this is our summary dismissal. Great. Crossing out the B match. Next one in the text is a wrongful dismissal, and it is a dismissal that involves a breach of contract by the employee. In our questions, we have this question number 26. An employee gets rid of an employee without keeping the conditions in the contract. Without keeping the conditions means breaching the conditions. And breaching the conditions is the same as we see in the text. And it has to do with the wrongful dismissal because it's wrong from the side of the employer. In the text then we see they talk about unfair dismissal, and this is when an employee is sacked without a good cause. To be sacked means to be fired, and it's the same as to be dismissed. We haven't crossed out our wrongful dismissal yet. Let's do it right away. And unfair dismissal as well, because we already know that the unfair dismissal is when the employee is sacked without a good reason, and it is number 27. And lastly, we are left with number 25, and obviously we are left with only one option, and it is option E, constructive dismissal, so we don't even have to read the text further. Great, we are done with our questions 22 to 28. And we are moving forward to the section 3, the last section. Now here, first let's deal with questions 29 to 35. Let's read the text first. It's a big text, so please read it on your own. So in the questions 29 to 35, we have to match the paragraphs with the information given in the statements. When you read the text, I hope you did it, you need to highlight the crucial information that is topic sentences for each of the paragraphs so that you know what each paragraph talks about. So when you read paragraph C, for instance, you see that the term calisthenics itself is derived from the Greek words for beauty and strength. So the paragraph C talks about etymology of this word, where this word appeared, when did it appear, where did it appear, and it's the origin of our word calisthenics. Let us write that it corresponds to the paragraph C. Next statement is the last popular supporter of calisthenics. Who was he? If you read the text very attentively, you saw that Atlas was the last of a dying breed. A dying breed is a dying generation, a generation that is extinct or that is going to be extinct very, very soon. And therefore Atlas, Charles Atlas, was his stage name, and he was called Angelo Siliziano. He was the last of a dying breed, and therefore he was the last popular supporter of this sport. And we know this from paragraph E. Next statement, the first use of calisthenics as a training method. We can go back to the paragraph B, and there we see that calisthenics enters the historical record. This is a pretty easy paragraph to catch because it enters the historical record. The first record in history, the first mention in history of calisthenics was around 480 BC, and this is the first use of this sport as a training method. So we don't even have to read further. We can already say that paragraph B is the paragraph that talks about the first use of calisthenics. Next statement is a multidisciplinary approach to all-round health and strength, and we are going forward all the way to paragraph H. So where do we see that they talk about a multidisciplinary approach? Obviously, they show that modern practices often combine elements from a number of related traditions. So this is the multidisciplinary approach. They approach the calisthenics now in a different way, all-round health related way, because people want to recover the vision of physical beauty and strength and harmony. So our statement 32 correlates with paragraph H. Next statement, reasons for the survival of calisthenics throughout the ages. What were the reasons? If you were reading attentively, you saw that in the paragraph A, calisthenics has endured and thrived because of its simplicity and utility. Why did it survive? It survived through ages, from the Greco-Roman empires to the modern American high schools, because of its simplicity and utility. So those are two basic reasons from the paragraph A that we can use to match the paragraph with the statement. Next statement, the use of medical substance to increase muscle mass and strength. Where do they talk about it? They actually talk about it in paragraph F. So indeed, this paragraph talks about use of anabolic steroids, synthetic hormones, which boosted muscle development while harming overall health. So people like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sergio Oliva were relying on those medical substances to increase their mass and strength, because the physical beauty was replaced by an emphasis on huge muscles at any cost. So paragraph F talks about this statement. Great. And the last statement, where do we see it? A reference to traveling showmen who displayed their strength for audiences. We are left with paragraphs G and D, and to be honest, we will see the author talking about it in paragraph D. Where do we have a reference to those showmen? We see that in that period, in the 19th century, the people of astounding physical strength and development who forged nomadic careers by demonstrating outlandish feats of strength to stunned populations. So what is a nomadic career? A nomad is someone who travels the earth, who doesn't have a single place to live, a single home. He or she travels around the globe and likes that lifestyle. So those are traveling showmen because they demonstrated outlandish feats of strength to stunned populations. So they are talking about those nomadic travelers in the paragraph D. Perfect. We are done with our questions 29 to 35. Now let's go further to the last set of questions finally, and those are from 36 to 40. We will have to choose no more than 2 words from the text for each answer. Now it is quite easy for us to work with the text because we have already worked with the matching paragraphs and now we know the text quite well, so it is easy for us to insert words. Let's read the task. During the 60s and 70s, attaining huge muscles became more important than something or having an attractive looking body. Do you remember when we were talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger and his colleagues when they were working on the bodybuilding? And this is our paragraph F. I remember it clearly. So what was replaced? The functional strength was replaced by an emphasis on huge muscles. So attaining huge muscles was more important than physical beauty and functional strength. Since we already have here attractive looking body in our question, functional strength are words that we need to insert here. Again, during the 60s and 70s, attaining huge muscles became more important than functional strength or having an attractive looking body. The first people to take up this new sport of bodybuilding had a background in calisthenics, but the most famous practitioners became known as someone on account of the impressive size of their muscles. Calisthenics, with its emphasis on physical beauty and a balance in proportions, had a little to offer to mass monsters. Why they were called mass monsters? Because of their imposing physiques. Yes, they indeed had a background in the calisthenics tradition. We see it here. Bodybuilding's pioneers were drawn from the calisthenics traditions, but they were called mass monsters because of their imposing physiques. So mass monsters are words that we need to use here. Great. Let's modify our paragraph a little bit like that. Perfect. I love working with it. It's so simple. Okay, let's go to the next one. Calisthenics then became the domain of weaker people, females, children, and those recovering from what? Again, let's try to anticipate from what they can recover. From diseases, for instance, from injuries, from illnesses. It can be anything. So in the paragraph G that we didn't use for our matching, we see that in this bigger is better climate, calisthenics were relegated to groups perceived to be vulnerable or weak, as we see the synonym. You will never see keywords as they are in your text and in your questions. So they're recovering from injuries. Again, recuperating is the same as recovering. Please pay attention to learning synonyms, because synonyms are the key to success in your IELTS reading. They were recovering from injuries. Much of the advanced knowledge about calisthenics was lost in the method, and the method was subsequently downgraded to the status of a simple, user-friendly activity. Once a person became skilled in this, he would progress to what? What they can progress to. If this is a simple activity, then they probably will progress to another activity that is more difficult. So again, in the same paragraph G, we see that in the last sentence, they say those who mastered the rudimentary skills, now rudimentary or not necessary skills of calisthenics, could expect to graduate to weight training rather than advanced calisthenics. So now they go from calisthenics to weight training. And this is exactly what we need for our question. Once a person becomes skilled at this, he would progress to weight training. Perfect. And the last question is, currently a revival of calisthenics is underway as extreme muscle building can harm the body, leaving it sore, out of balance, and poor in what? So in the last paragraph, as we remember from our matching, they talk about the bodybuilding approaches that promote excessive muscles development frequently lead to joint pains, injuries, unbalanced physiques, and weak cardiovascular. So this is it, guys. I really hope it is now clear, and I have showed you the step-by-step process that you can use to go through your general reading mock tests and real tests. I really hope that you will use the tips and strategies that I showed to you in this video, and thank you so much for being here. I will be very happy if you decide to leave a like for me or even subscribe, and as always, I will be delighted to see you again here. Ciao!